How we doing, guys?
Good. Do you feel this was the most complete game that you've played in a while?
Oh, I think certainly this year it's the most complete game. I thought we played well in all three phases. Started off well on defense, getting some 3 and outs, and 4 drives in the first half offensively, and scored on each of them, 3 of them for touchdowns, and did a good job continuing that. That balance of staying aggressive, but making sure that you secure the win. I thought we did a good job of handling that. Really in all 3 phases of our team. So I thought we played with the right spirit, the right mentality. I thought we handled the successes and the adversities of the game well, and obviously a lot of room for improvement. You watch the tape, and there's a lot of things you don't like in it, so we'll try to clean those things up and get going again for this challenge against Washington.
At what point do you say to yourself, when you see the offensive output the way it has, like, okay, how do you do that again? When does that hit you, considering what you did the first, or unable to do the first 5 weeks?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing to play effective offensive football starts up front. You have to control the line of scrimmage. We believe in that. We want to be balanced, run and pass. We're able to do each of those things in this game. You want to attack different ways. I thought we did a good job of that. We took care of the football. We made some little plays in the game that kept drives alive. We had chances to make some big plays. We took advantage of those. I thought a big play in this game was after the touchdown throw to Gallup was overturned, and came right back and scored on the next play. I thought that was a really good indicator of where the mindset and the mentality of the group was, just to keep playing, fight through it, play with some conviction. And again, I thought we demonstrated that really throughout most of the ball game in all 3 phases of our team.
Dak said that his focus, or the plan, was to read to run on those zone reads. Is that different than the past weeks, and is that more about what the defense was doing, which I thought y'all could do against this defense?
Yeah, I think the most important thing on those kinds of plays is just to read it as honestly as possible, and get locked in on what the indicator is as to whether or not to give the ball or to keep it. And Dak has done this a lot throughout his career, did a lot of it in college, and we've done a lot of this stuff since he's been our quarterback here. And he does it really well. He's a very good decision maker. He's a very good runner. And those have been good plays for us.
I mean, I guess different quarterbacks, can want to keep it, or, just you can read the same thing to say, well, I'm going to give it, I'm going to keep it. And it can be a conscious effort to want to keep it at times.
Yeah, again, I just think you want to be true to the read. You want to be objective. You want to see what you're supposed to do with the football, and trust if it's a give read, to give it to the guy who's a pretty good runner, and trust the offensive line, and let those guys do their work. And if it presents itself where they defend the run inside and it's your turn to keep it, and go do some good things with it. And I thought he did a good job of that throughout the game.
Your focus is on the execution of this, but was there a bit of a cathartic element to yesterday, or some pent-up frustrations of not being able to do what you wanted to do those first 5 weeks that it kind of showed once you started to do some things?
Yeah, I think the most important thing we try to instill in our team is just the mental toughness to continue to play through success and through adversity. That's within a game, within a drive, from play to play, and then certainly in our game from week to week. And anything you did the previous week is not necessarily going to help you this coming week. You have to earn it all over again. You have to keep playing. You have to keep playing with a fresh spirit, with the mental toughness to do your job regardless of what the circumstances are. So that's really what we try to instill in our team. I thought our guys did a good job of that this week.
How hard is it to have that mental toughness every week?
That's why they call it mental toughness, right? So you have to be mentally tough. And again, I keep saying this, but you have to handle success and adversity the same way. And when things are going well, you have to be mentally tough enough to do what you need to do to keep it going. And similarly, when you have some challenging times in whatever phase of your football team, you just got to keep fighting. You got to prepare the right way, try to do things the right way across the board, and typically when you do that, good things happen.
You guys have had trouble a little bit this year on 3rd down, and early in the game there, you had the throw to Gallup, and then there was several throws to Beasley on 3rd down that kind of kept chains moving. Why do you think that you guys were able to have that success in this game?
I thought we did a better job blocking them up front in this game. The pocket was comfortable. I thought we had good matchups on the back end. Bees is one of those guys who's hard to guard on 3rd down. He's a very good man-to-man route runner, gives the quarterback a place to throw it. And when they play zone, he typically finds a place for the quarterback to throw it as well. So he made a number of big plays in the game. Gallup made the big contested catch. early on in the ball game. That certainly gave us a boost. You need to make those plays. The National Football League is competitive. This idea that we're in college and I'm going to beat the guy by 5 yards, that's not what this league is all about. I think Michael did a good job coming back from last week. We had a couple of contested plays where he didn't make them. And so worked very hard at that this week, went up and made a play, and it was a big play in the game. Got us going on that early drive. So those plays make a difference.
How did David Irving grade out?
David did well. Certainly had an impact on the game. You know, defensively, we didn't play that many plays. We played less than 50 plays in the game, and I think that's a function of the offense staying on the field and the defense getting off the field. And I thought we had a good rotation with that defensive line. We played 9 guys up front, and we kept each of their snaps in a range that was favorable to us. Some of the guys coming back, David hadn't played, Malik hadn't played, Randy, we wanted to keep his number down. So each of those guys, for the work they got, they were productive, they seemed fresh, and they made an impact on the game.
In regards to that rotation, can you talk about Dorrance Armstrong, not only how he played, but I guess the way he's coming along that would allow you to use DeMarcus?
He's just done a really good job. His approach right from the start has been outstanding, very professional, comes to work every day, doesn't say a whole lot, just really works hard to get better. And he played a lot of important snaps in the game, played on some of the early snaps, the first and second down snaps that gave some of those other guys who were coming back off of some injuries or hadn't played in a little while, gave them a chance to go in on some of the passing situations. So he did a good job. He was productive. He was around the quarterback. He made some plays in the running game, and he's maturing quickly. He's doing a good job for us.
I know your expectation is for David to be here every day, but he's got an issue on Wednesday. Is your expectation that he will not be with you Wednesday?
I really don't have any information or don't want to comment on that right now. The players will not be in tomorrow as a group. They're coming in on their own here on Monday and Tuesday to do their run and their lift, and we'll see what his availability will be on Wednesday.
What is it that Dorrance does well?
Again, I think it goes back to his approach. He's a very consistent guy. He works very hard. He's technique sound. He does what he's supposed to do. If he's a C-gap defender, he does a pretty good job getting in the C-gap. And technically, he's pretty advanced for a young guy, and he's pretty consistent. He's not one of these guys who's a splash player. He makes this play, and then you don't see him for 10 or 12 plays. Down in and down out, he does what he's supposed to do. He does it the way he's supposed to do it. And, again, he's played some valuable snaps for us.
A lot of what you talked about, whether it's Dak's runs or establishing the line of scrimmage and the defense staying off the field, does that all just kind of stem from establishing Zeke and the run game first?
Well, I think the way you establish the running back is you establish the line of scrimmage. So it starts with the guys up front. Zeke's an outstanding running back. He was really a great football player, but it's the guys up front who make the whole thing go. And he'd be the first guy to tell you that. So I thought we blocked a really good front very well in this game, both run blocking and pass protecting. They got a lot of guys. They've spent a lot of resources on that defense, and it starts with those guys up front. That's what allows them to be as good as they have been. And again, I thought we established the line of scrimmage. Zeke obviously ran tough. He made a lot of big plays in this game. There were a lot of dirty runs that he had, and he kept battling, he kept fighting, and then he was able to break some bigger runs as the game went on.
Does 40 points feel different against the top defense of the NFL as it would to a middle of the pack or lower defense?
Again, the biggest thing we try to do is focus on ourselves. Great respect for Jacksonville's defense going in. Again, they got a lot of really, really good players. It's a scheme that they believe in. They've been very good at. But again, we're trying to focus on ourselves and not worry too much about who the opponent is. Again, we go in and respect them, but we've got to make sure we do what we need to do. And I thought yesterday's performance was good.
11 rushing attempts for Dak, maybe a little bit of an outlier, but even 6 or 7 attempts per game. Is that realistic for you guys to replicate week after week, or do you have to at some point evaluate the risk of Dak running now?
Yeah, a few of them were scrambles, so sometimes that'll happen in a ball game when things don't come up the way you want to come up, or maybe somebody gets loose, rushing him. He's been able to make some plays, with his feet on those kinds of plays. But we've been pretty consistent about how we use the quarterback run stuff, the design runs, and some games it's more of a give game where he's handing the ball off to Zeke, and hopefully if they're defending him, the opportunities for Zeke are that much better. And then when they want to give Zeke attention on some of those inside runs, he can take advantage of it. So he does such a good job attacking defenses a lot of different ways. I thought he made some good throws in the game and certainly made some good runs.
Jeff, you've had a crucial play in the game with that interception and 35-yard return. Last week against the Texans, he tackled Deshaun Watson on fourth down, keeping him out of the end zone. Can you just talk a little bit about his effort and the standard that he's set for the secondary?
He's just a good football player, and it comes up in his production. And we can go all the way back to his history when we first got him. He was a college free agent and, you know, one of those guys that not many people knew about. And he just started showing up on special teams, was always the first guy down there, was always making the tackles. And, you know, over the course of his career, that's really been his calling card, production, productivity. And he had a chance to earn a spot on the defensive side of the ball. He was playing different roles early on in his career, and every time he went out there, he was making tackles or making plays on the ball, and ultimately earned a chance to be a starter. And he continues to do that. He makes a lot of plays in the running game. He's a very aware guy, very instinctive guy going to get the football, and he's a good football player.
You briefly mentioned youth yesterday, talking about the home road disparities so far. Is that at the root of the road struggles?
You know, I think if you look at those games, you know, the common theme is we played good defenses, and we didn't necessarily handle crowd noise as well. We didn't block them quite as well. We weren't as efficient throwing the football as we would have wanted to be. So I think you have to look at that and just being able to handle that environment better. And you know, you play 8 of them at home and you play 8 of them on the road. So you got to be able to handle that. We've typically done a pretty good job of that around here. We have some younger players that we simply have to do a better job of executing. And that's part of the challenges of the National Football League. So hopefully we can do a better job this week.
What's the latest that you got on Tavon Austin and his groin injury?
Yeah, Tavon hurt his groin in the game, and so it might be a little bit of time. We'll take a situation day by day, but not overly optimistic he'll be available this week.
In addition to Jordan Lewis, who else do you anticipate working behind Cole Beasley on return?
Oh, in regards to Tavon, yeah, probably just those 2 guys for now. But that's always a situation where, you know, you give other guys opportunities to do it and see how they handle it in practice.
You were worried about the receiving position because Bryce also had a little health issue last week, and now you got Tavon. So
yeah, we felt like Bryce could have played in the game yesterday if we needed him to. We wanted to belong in the secondary and on the defensive line because of some injury situations we had there. So we do think Bryce will be available this week.
Is this the week that Noah Brown can return to practice?
I believe officially he could, yes. We haven't made that decision yet.
When you look at the early years of Dan Bailey, you look at the first year of Maher, do you see similarities, and what is the makeup of a guy like that that's producing?
I think you just said it. The makeup is really everything. Obviously, both those guys are very talented physically, but you know the #1 trait for a kicker is his mind. And each of those guys, you know, Dan for so many years here, such a strong-minded guy, such a mentally tough guy in so many different situations where he made big kicks for us. And I think Brett has a lot of the same qualities. And, you know, we talked about it many times, just his arc since coming back here all through the spring and through training camp, just day after day after day, didn't say a whole lot, very professional in his approach, and just literally made every kick. Every day it was 6 for 6, 6 for 6, 6 for 6. All throughout training camp. So he's a tough-minded guy, he's a mentally tough guy, and I think he's demonstrated that during the early part of the season.
With Jordan Lewis, I don't know how many snaps he's played this season, but he's 2 fumble recoveries. I mean, is he a guy who just finds himself around the ball?
He's a ball guy. He was a ball guy in college, and that's one of the things we really like about him. He's a very competitive guy, and he just seems to be around it a lot. And it was good to see him out there again in the game yesterday, kind of building on some of the good things he did last week in the Houston game. And he's getting more and more comfortable, more and more confident in what we're doing, and again, he's showing up.
How would you say Jalen is emerging as a leader on that defense?
I think he's emerging. He has those leadership qualities. Just his personality is so strong. I think he's getting more and more comfortable with what we're doing in our system. He's more confident communicating to the rest of the defensive guys, and when the ball's snapped, he makes a lot of plays, which certainly helps your leadership ability.
How much of that emergence would you say is the Sean injury? Having to be there with him not there the last few games?
Well, I understand what you're saying, but I don't want to suggest in any way that Sean was a progress stopper in regards to that. Those guys are working really well together, and he was communicating and getting more comfortable and confident when Sean was in there. And you know, I would say the same thing about Leighton Vander Esch. I mean, each of those guys, they're playing more snaps, they're more experienced, they're seeing these different situations, and they're becoming, you know, just more confident football players. And so much of that when you play linebacker is communicating, getting guys lined up, doing all the stuff before the snap, and then, you know, attacking plays once the ball is snapped. And I think both Jalen and Leighton have demonstrated that.
So much of Jalen's story is about that knee injury and what he's come back from. Is that put to bed by now? Is that story done? Is it a different chapter with him?
Yeah, I don't know that it's put to bed. I think we're all a product of our experiences. And I think in so many ways, him coming back from that injury and being on the brink of maybe never playing football again is a big part of what he's all about, overcoming adversity. And a big reason why we chose him, you know, given what that injury was what we believed to be his exceptional qualities as a person, the character of the guy. And I think he continues to demonstrate that. So he is a real, he's one of those guys that you're privileged to coach because the approach he takes every day and the positive impact he has on all his teammates and just how he goes about it. So he's done an excellent job for us.
What's your anticipation on how Lee will or won't be able to work back into practice this week? And then with the bye week so close, does that factor in late in the week when you look at him and where he is?
Well, he did some work last week, and I think he's getting closer and closer. And I guess your point is well made that, you know, a lot of people will make the argument that, well, if he doesn't play this week, he'll have 2 more weeks. You get 16 games. And so if players are able to play in each of those 16 games, you play them. And you worry about that other stuff later. So we'll make our decision based on what his availability is for this game, independent of the bye in the coming week. So he's made some progress, and hopefully he'll continue to do that this week.
But what were your thoughts on Randy Gregory last night?
Randy did a good job in the game. He really did. He started showing up, affecting the quarterback. There were some quarterback pressures. He had a sack, made some good plays in the run, and really played with the right kind of spirit and demeanor. And he's around the ball. He's around the quarterback. He's getting close. It was good to see him cash in a little bit.
When you say spirit and demeanor, what do you mean for him? When you say he's playing with the right kind of spirit and demeanor, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, just being physically tough, being mentally tough, playing with a relentless spirit, playing from the snap through the echo of the whistle, being around the ball, picking your teammates up, having a bounce in your step, handling success, handling adversity, all the stuff we try to instill in our team.
Marcus Lawrence, are you going to have to continue to manage him, or where is he at in that labor? Is that going to be an ongoing thing?
Yeah, I mean, most of the guys this time of year, they start to have things that they're going to have to deal with for most of the year. So everyone's kind of managing things. But, you know, he was able to play a number of snaps in the game and did a good job for us affecting the quarterback. Again, we didn't play that many snaps, and we played a lot of guys on the defensive line. So it worked out well for a few of those guys who were nursing some things just to play some quality snaps, and he was part of that group.
You guys measured missed tackles for your defensive players. Has Leighton missed a tackle this season?
I'm sure he has.
It seems like he gets the guys and he gets them.
Yeah, he's a very good tackler. He's a very good tackler.
Is that rare for a young guy to be that way?
I don't know that it's rare. I bet if you went back to Riggins, Idaho, and watched those 8-man football games, he was probably a pretty good at tackling guy. You know, he's a very good athlete. He's big, he's long, he's got good change of direction. He's physical, he's strong, and he's willing. And, you know, so I think all those things add up to ultimately being a good tackler. He did a really good job in coverage yesterday. A really good example was, you know, they completed the big long one for a touchdown, and he was part of that coverage. And he came back on the next series. They tried to run the same play back the other way, and he was the one that contributed to the interception that Heath made by being deep in coverage and getting a hand on the ball and just being around it. So smart football player learning from his experiences.
Thank you.
Okay, guys. Good to see you. Good to see you too, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.